What's happening, friends? Welcome to Unlocked, episode 369 for November 6th, 2018. It's IGN's weekly Xbox show, the number one Xbox show on this here planet Earth. Coming up on this week's show, plenty to talk about, highlighted by Respawn Entertainment, not one, but two video games on the way in 2019. We'll talk about that and the implications of making sure those get in front of as many people as possible. Plus, some great news for Forza Horizon 4, I want to share that. Plus, a website has to pay a very, very large bill for breaking some rules with regard to Red Dead Redemption 2. And Microsoft is revamping their corporate campus, and they're previewing it for their employees in a very, very interesting, appropriately Microsoft way. We'll talk all about that. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. To my right, the great Destin Legary.
Bam. Hey, everybody.
Wow. It's week 2 of BAM. Hey, everybody. How's that going so far?
Pretty good. Pretty good? Yeah.
Did you get any feedback last week?
They seem fine with it.
Okay.
You like the BAM?
We'll just keep it rolling. Brandon Tyrell, the man in black.
I'm going to give this a try.
Bam.
You can't take this thing.
No, I don't.
Come up with
I
your
know
own.
you put a little
Destin's
twang
thing.
on it.
It
but
didn't do it for me. I support
I like
your
the
decisions,
growl.
but
You got a good growl. I'm going to take
what's
that.
Bam! Yeah.
finger gun. We'll try that out.
And joining us, very pleased to have Damon Hatfield here.
Scoop.
The Game Scoop man.
There, that's this
himself.
thing.
You have
Welcome.
a legitimate catchphrase. That's totally fine.
That's mine. Yeah.
Welcome to
Don't
the party.
take that
one. Yeah.
Bam scoop.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. So, guys, I want to start. Quick note. Last week, just a particularly Xbox relevant note. ID at Xbox, the indie program on Xbox that has succeeded the Xbox Live Arcade program. They published their 1,000th game last week.
Yeah, that's
That's
a lot
a
of
lot
games.
of video games. It's only it officially actually hasn't even been 5 years, just under 5 years. So that's a whole lot of games.
I think it's cool that you have announced you're going to do a Let's Play series where you play through
Yeah.
each and every one of those games.
Damon, what have you
Starting
done?
next week.
The first 50. Keep an eye out for that.
If you did one a day, it would take
4 years?
like 3
It
years
would take
just to
1,000
get
days.
just to get caught up.
Yeah.
that's a lot of video gaming. But guys, what are some of your favorites? Just give me one highlight ID at Xbox title over the years, Destin.
So I was looking through the list before the show, and there's some big titles on there, man, that have allowed really cool games to come to Xbox, like Rocket League. Rocket League is on the list. Hellblade and No Man's Sky actually came through ID at Xbox, which is really neat. So I'll say No Man's Sky because I think it actually does some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, the next update, which arrived with the Xbox version.
Yeah, really, really
fleshed out
improves
the game.
upon where it was, adds multiplayer. So yeah, that's one of mine.
Excellent, yeah, and the endless video game, No Man's Sky. Damon, let me go your way. What stands out for you? You played a ton of Xbox Live Arcade in the day. You still play a lot of digital titles.
Yeah,
I know you like The Messenger from this year.
The Messenger's a really fun game. A highlight for me is also, I think, a highlight for you, which is Inside, a game you reviewed. I think you gave a 10.
Sure, that was one of the easiest 10s I've ever given in my career. It really was.
That's a 10 I can get behind. I totally agree with that. That's like, I loved Limbo as well.
Yeah.
Just love the work that Playdead does. The game's such a cool, spooky vibe. But I love that it's like, it's set up like a traditional side-scrolling, platforming game.
Yeah.
Where you're constantly moving to the right and you're just encountering different scenes and different scenarios, always having to figure out what you have to do. But it reminds me of like Ghosts and Goblins back in the day, where at the start of every life you can see the whole map sort of laid out, and like this game Inside is laid out the same way.
What is your take? It's been long enough. Statute of limitations is up. What's your take on the ending? Because that was one of my favorite things coming out of that game. Especially, I was the first person to finish it here, and I was just dying to talk to anyone.
Yeah, I remember that.
There are no shortage of ways to interpret the ending of that video game.
No, once again, spoilers.
Fast forward
the
like
ending
2
is
minutes.
just it's a pretty, the whole like last act of that game is pretty incredible. But I always interpret it as the kid all along was trying to break in to that facility. He wasn't on the run. He was being chased. He was trying to break in because he either felt obligated to set free the mass, or he was sort of being summoned there, like telepathically by the mass for some reason.
right.
So, but he ends up being absorbed by the mass and using as a utility to break free. Go through that whole like insane sequence of breaking out of the laboratory. Finally comes to rest on the riverbed, and then sort of like is just lazing there in the sun, and like no matter what happens next,
freedom is better than captivity.
Right.
So,
Right.
oof,
Right.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
My favorite part about that, and I believe I'm remembering this correctly, but there's a diorama somewhere in the facility that shows the river and the forest with a single beam of light on something there, indicating like it was all it was all planned all along. Which makes me think there's a bigger sublayer above that where like they're testing to see what it's capable of, how far it can get away, and this was their optimum.
I love there still is no definitive, like the developers. Playdead has never said this is what the
I
ending
think they wanted to leave it a little bit,
which
open.
is great.
Yeah,
I like that.
And as a side note, they've made 2 great games with Limbo and Inside. What they're going to do next is apparently not going to be 2D. They've said they're sort of like thinking bigger now. So
In another
I don't know.
dimension.
That could be really cool, or maybe it's going to be they'll switch up the formula a little too much.
The artwork was the crash ship or something like that,
which
right?
the gaming community was kind of lovingly calling it Outside because it was that sort of same artistic vibe, but it, not indoors.
Yeah, but I also think 2 of the key leads from Limbo and Inside have left now. Isn't that right? So
One of the 2 partners.
just one of them. Okay.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if it's Dino. Is the one still there? If he's the one, and then Somerville is the other project. Is the project from the other, like the Splinter team?
Yeah.
And I'm just now confusing which one's which. But can't argue with Inside. God, this game's still so good. Dame, you're not. Wait, I went to talk to Damon already. I mean, just shave. You're pretty close, honestly.
Damon with a beard. What do you think?
Beard Damon.
Brandon is often my stunt double on Game Scoop.
Yeah,
It's true.
For the tough segments.
Yeah.
I take
I'm getting a
falls.
little old. I can't do all my own stunts anymore.
I take falls really well. So.
Brandon Tyrell.
Yeah, one of my favorite ID Xbox games is actually one of my favorite games this year and probably of all time. It's a game I reviewed. It is Dead Cells. I gave it an amazing score because it is an action RPG game that acts like a platformer. But what I really, really love about it is just how smartly it's designed. It really pushes you to push the limits. It's a risk versus reward kind of vibe where normally in a game where one hit will kill you or permadeath makes you start over, you tend to be a little more cautious, right? Like I think back to the first time I played Dark Souls and I'm like, oh, gotta go down this hallway. With Dead Cells, it rewards you for movement in such a way that it doesn't really feel like you're at risk of losing all this progress for the sake of feeling so good to get through that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it. I think Motion Twin did an amazing job, and I'm so psyched for whatever else comes to that game. I'm anxiously waiting for it, but that's a game I still play. Andrew was giving me crap last week because he's like, "Why are you still playing this game?" I'm like,
Hold on. Andrew Goldfarb, I can't stop playing Pokemon Go.
Okay, I didn't want to get into this, but thank you. It's definitely Dead Cells is probably just such an amazing game.
I like that game a lot.
That came to Xbox through ID at Xbox.
Yeah, and we're probably going to see it on a number of outlets' Game of the Year nominations lists this year.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I cannot possibly let this segment go without mentioning Cuphead. I mean, it's that game for it. I will confess now in hindsight that I was afraid that when it was finally coming out, that it wasn't going to be able to live up to the hype that it had.
It was a long time.
It had earned that hype
for
sure, but it was such a buildup, 3, even maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
And then it finally hit, and it's like, nope, the game's incredible. It's not just a beautiful piece of art; it is an incredible video game as well. So challenging, such unique boss design. We're getting DLC next year, which would be great to go back to the world of Cuphead. So, Studio MDHR deserving of every last shred of the success that they have seen since releasing that game a little over a year ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so great stuff. So there's 4 out of 1,000 titles. We'll cover the next 4 next week.
Yeah. 4 at a time.
All right,
966 to go.
Quick programming note before we get started with the news. Our IGN first game for this month that we've editorially chosen to cover the heck out of all November long is Just Cause 4, which I'm super excited about. I saw it behind closed doors at E3 on like the first day, which is like day -3 of E3 because that's how E3 works now.
It's a week and a half long.
Yeah. But yeah, I got to look at it in a hotel suite, and it I expected, okay, more Just Cause, cool, no problem.
Yeah.
Turns out they completely threw out their old game engine, made a new one, and it's got crazy weather like tornadoes in it.
Were you blown away?
Yes. Bam! I was blown away.
There we go.
Now it's going on the back of some marketer just went, huh? Thanks, Destin.
I hope it's just a picture of your shit-eating grin right now next to that quote.
If you watch the video, you can see where I thought of that gag. I started grinning.
See the light bulb
I was like,
go
oh,
off.
I'm going to save this.
Anyway, yeah, it very much impressed me, and we've been keeping an eye on it ever since. And yeah, really stoked to. Our IGN UK team went over to Avalanche to just play a ton of it, capture a ton of footage for a bunch of great features that have begun rolling out. So keep an eye on IGN.com
Round zero.
all month long for that.
For Just Cause coverage. No? All right. Eye of the Storm? We're in the Eye of the Storm?
That's better.
That's
All right.
better.
Okay.
That's better.
More of a hurricane thing, but yeah, okay.
Working on it.
It's fine. We'll let it go.
I'll stop. I'm sorry.
It's in the tornado family.
I should have prepared more tornado-related puns.
I don't think it is. Dust Devil, Water Spout, those are tornado families.
You know what? Hurricanes just happen over water, man. What do you want?
Okay, it's not the hill I'm ready to die on.
Welcome to Meteorology 101.
Weather puns aside.
All right, let's get started. Respawn Entertainment, Vince Zampella's crew down there in Burbank, California. They have been making Titanfall video games ever since they formed in the wake of the big Infinity Ward scandal that rocked Activision and the Call of Duty franchise. And guess what? Titanfall is awesome. You already all know that.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2,
Awesomer.
even more awesomer than the first game. But what happened? Damon, tell us the quick story of what happened to Titanfall 2.
It was the meat in the Call of Duty and Battlefield sandwich.
It was the sugar
year.
filling. Yeah, it was.
There was only 1 week of breathing room in between
Yeah.
all three of those games.
Not
It
a good
was.
look for Titanfall in that case, unfortunately.
And yeah, and that like everybody knows that campaign in Titanfall 2 is excellent.
One of the
So
best
good.
first-person shooter campaigns of this
9.0 IGN.
Yeah.
That's it?
Sorry, I thought it was great. That was amazing.
You did that one? You did that
I reviewed Titanfall 2, yeah.
If they
Yeah,
could turn
I-
back time, they might choose a different release date.
Nope. Keep going.
You can do that
Because of the time thing?
Okay, yeah.
I got it. Is this you today? Is this
I don't know
is
why.
this the, your
I don't know why
setting?
today.
Destin's
Yeah.
Why of all day?
Loopier than usual.
We're all loopy. Thanks, Destin. Next segment. Okay. So Battlefield came out, and then a week later, Titanfall 2 came out, and then a week later, Call of Duty came out. And I remember there's a quote floating around from EA asking them, "Hey, are you worried that these titles are going to cannibalize each other because EA publishes 2 out of the 3 biggest shooters that year?" And they were saying that they didn't see crossover because both games are made for different audiences, which, okay, there's some validity to that. Battlefield is different than Call of Duty. I'd say Titanfall with its movement and I don't want to use the word, but it's the only one I could think of, freneticness. We were talking about a list of like the most hated words, and that was number 1. I think it's closer to a Call of Duty than Battlefield is. So I understand at some point what they're saying there. However,
Ron Burgundy, I don't believe you. .gif.
however, it's silly to think that a week between 2 shooters is not going to have some sort of
It's ridiculous.
overlap.
Especially at that time of year.
Especially, it's this is the new kid on the block. You've got Battlefield and Call of Duty. Those are both known franchises that people buy year after year after year. Sticking Titanfall 2 between those 2 franchises, I think, was a huge mistake, and I'm really hoping it either pushes out to a spring release or comes into late August, September.
So that's the story here is EA issued some remarks about their 2019 saying that Respawn will have multiple games released by holiday of 2019, not in holiday of 2019, by holiday of 2019. Now, they didn't actually specify that it would be Titanfall 3 and their Star Wars game, which is called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But unless they've got a secret third game that's unannounced that they're going to just spring on the world real quick, it's probably those 2 games.
Well, there is a VR game, right? That Respawn's working on?
That's true. That's a good point.
I don't know anything about it. I think they
Yeah,
are
that's
working
actually a
on
really good
something
point.
VR.
Maybe that's the stealth release here.
Yeah.
But in any case,
Well, in that case, here's a little hypothetical. Which one do you think comes out? Titanfall 3 or Star Wars?
Well, you have a Star Wars movie coming next December. I think they're going to want to have a Star Wars game out.
Yep.
You think September for that one, David? Maybe a good window to get out of the November
For
launch.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they'd want to have it closer to the movie's launch in December.
Except, remember that if the calendar holds, next year would be a Star Wars Battlefront
It's a Battlefront
3.
3 year. Yeah,
We haven't heard anything about that.
that's true.
True.
Right?
And they had all that backlash. They're
Yeah.
probably maybe going back to the drawing
Like, I
board.
don't think they would put out 2 Star Wars
Probably
games in a year.
I agree with that,
But they're not going to have Battlefield because they have Battlefield this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
So maybe Battlefront becomes the Battlefield,
So they need a shooter for the fall, which would be Titanfall 3, I think.
unless it's Battlefront.
You think
but we haven't heard it.
Titanfall 3
Once
I don't know.
again,
I think regardless of
Well, it's
whether
all speculation.
whether it's these 2 projects or if one of them's the VR project, I really don't want to see Titanfall 2 ship in the fall just because.
2 or 3.
Sorry, Titanfall 3 ship in the fall. It just seems like the spring or any other time of year is the better. Titanfall 1 came out at a great time.
March,
There was
yeah.
nothing out yet. It was March. It was early in the generation.
Yeah.
I know
It
we're
was,
not early in the
it
generation.
was also exclusive. So I think
time.
I think whatever happens with Titanfall 3, it's immediately going to have a better buy-in because Titanfall 2 was multi-platform.
Right.
It's got a wider audience now, you know.
Very true.
EA's Battlefield 5 Battle Royale mode is also coming out in the spring. So
Yeah,
it would
it's,
compete
true.
against one of
That's a good point.
EA's own published.
Firestorm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if we could see Titanfall 3 turn around in May. Like May is kind of become a big month in game releases.
Yeah.
We're like 6 months away from May.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have to announce the game officially and
Yeah.
they have to
Yeah.
ramp
But
up all their marketing.
We do have the Game Awards coming
have
up,
the Game
which
Awards,
is always a big place for game announcements.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
Could happen.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
about
I
a
think
month away.
I think August is a great month for it.
What's Star Wars? Do you guys think that'll be next year? Or do you think that one's
Yeah.
further out?
Star Wars. So the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which they awkwardly sort of revealed at E3 this year,
Oh yeah, with
Oh,
that
that
behind the
happened?
scenes.
No, they talked to
just
Vince
in the audience.
crowd.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
They went to Vince Zampella in the
I
audience.
totally forgot about that.
Aragon Star Wars. Thanks, Vince.
They ran that behind the scenes, people drawing on tablets.
That
and
was
then
a
they
couple years ago now.
was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
All right.
putting them all together. But yeah, I do remember Vincent Zampella in the audience.
Where's the marketing for either of these? It's weird.
Well, they haven't had like the official unveiling of either one yet.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're moving. Like the whole industry seems to be moving towards shorter marketing cycles.
Yeah. Yeah. Fallout
I don't
4
know.
was a catalyst there.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. But like Anthem is coming. EA has Anthem coming in February.
February. Yeah.
It's been like 3 years since that was announced, right?
That's
At least
true.
2. Maybe that's.
Although maybe maybe this never happened and I'm just making it up. But I believe someone said that they announced too early.
Yeah.
I think there was a quote floating around.
I feel like Jedi Fallen Order is an E3 announce. Like it's Star Wars license, big AAA project from Respawn. I feel like I don't think they're going to announce that outside of the biggest stage in the industry.
I agree.
That's my gut.
I agree.
Although it is becoming more and more common to sort of announce your game a little bit before E3.
Yeah.
Have it at E3 where
Right.
it's playable, but have your own sort of event that you can own to yourself to reveal your game. Maybe,
True.
maybe they'll do something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think
Good
they
point.
learned their lesson and they're going to do both in the fall.
Are you,
It's
really?
entirely possible.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Two
But-
huge games. Like they're
but to
like,
be
we
fair,
have to do it in the fall.
It doesn't have to be the same situation. If Titanfall 3 is out in October and then Star Wars is out in November, they're pretty different. These are pretty different games. I don't think Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order isn't going to be a shooter. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Titanfall wasn't bad. I really liked
I don't know.
Titanfall 2. It had some cool mechanics. You still got the big robots
No,
fighting each
Destin,
other.
Titanfall 2 was a 9.0 out of 10.
Yeah,
it was
it's
amazing.
great.
I don't.
It's a bummer that it lost to Call of Duty World War II, right? That was the Call of Duty that came out that year.
2016.
no, it was
One before that.
Infinite
Warfare.
Infinite Warfare.
It lost. Oh my, that's even more upsetting because that one everybody hated.
To be fair, it also went.
It was also the best-selling game of the year.
Yeah.
Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, Call of Duty is the best-selling game of the year every year.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the best-selling game of this year?
Wow.
We'll have to wait to find out.
Might be Red Dead Redemption
mean,
2. The rate they're going.
You did an interesting take on that, where
Which is what?
the only years that Call of Duty wasn't the top-selling game were the years that Rockstar released something.
Oh, well, the GTA 5. Wait, is that right?
Isn't that what you said?
Yeah. It's like the only time in the last 10 years when Call of Duty wasn't the best-selling game of the year was 2013 when GTA 5 was released. I think that was what I. But of course, Red Dead isn't GTA, so
Yeah, exactly.
It's also coming out a month later than in the year than GTA 5 did.
that's true. Yeah.
I will say also Titanfall 2 came out, what was it, a week after Battlefield 1. And right?
Battlefield 1 was pretty cool.
Battlefield 1 was, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise to the degree that they were still playing Battlefield 1 a week later, which, I mean, that's not a shocker, right? But like it was so good above and beyond what I think people were expecting from a Battlefield game. Had they completely rewrote it, they, moved the setting. It was gorgeous. Like, the mud on your lens on your rifle. I remember previewing that at E3 for the first time and just being like, "There's no way a game can look this good. Like this, this is not indicative of the final product." But I was wrong. It
regardless, I think the point of this segment is that we all want the best for Titanfall 3 for it to not repeat history from Titanfall 2. So hopefully EA will put some good time and thought into. I mean, they own Respawn now.
Yeah.
From Titanfall 2 to now, EA bought the company. So it is in their absolute corporate best interest to not have it compete with themselves in any way, shape, or form.
I also hope this Star Wars game turns out well.
Me too.
Yeah.
EA's had the Star Wars license for 5 years now. I don't think they've made particularly good use of it.
Yeah.
Is it just two Battlefront?
Two Battlefront games.
Is that it?
Two Battlefront
That's
games,
it? In 5 years?
One without a campaign, one with.
Yeah.
Really?
That's all
Right,
they
because
produced.
Amy Hennig's games
Was
canceled.
reworked into
not
something
canceled,
totally
yeah.
different. Yeah.
and,
And
then
they
this
canceled
one-
1313.
Right.
Well,
that was old.
Visceral was shuttered.
Right.
Yeah, the Visceral.
Yeah, I mean, it's wow.
Is there something contractually where they have to release a product to retain the Star Wars IP? Do you
They
know
have it
that?
for 10 years.
Okay.
So
I mean, I
But
think
that's
the idea would be
almost halfway done.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in business. I don't know that, but I would suspect that they're clearly not under any game obligation to release X number of titles. But if EA wants to keep the Star Wars license, I got to figure that when they come back to the negotiating table,
You have to
maybe in year 8 or year 9, maybe even year 10, that they're going to go, well, so in 10 years, we, you've done what? You've done like 3 games?
I don't think that's so much of a concern because if there's one franchise out there or license out there that deserves that like super AAA or quad A, as we've been talking about, polish, it's a Star Wars
I'm not
game.
talking about churning out games.
Sure. I'm saying that
Games have looked beautiful.
when they got that license,
DICE.
they started doing pre-production on games. Those games are going to be dropping year 7, year 6, year 7.
Yeah.
So we're, by year 8 or 9, you're going to have 3 or 4 super high quality Star Wars games with which, hopefully this is all hopeful, with which you go to EA or to Disney and just say, hey, look what we've done.
Also, I guess
Ride that wave in.
the one thing, like I don't have a vested interest in necessarily seeing EA have or not have the Star Wars license for beyond this agreement, but except for with one exception, if they sign an extension, there is that leaves the door open that we could get a Bioware made Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Bioware,
that's
EA owns Bioware, and if EA has the Star Wars license,
crazy.
Casey Hudson's back at Bioware. All I'm saying is
It's crazy that
could
they
happen.
haven't done that.
Yeah. We know BioWare is not just working on Anthem. They're
They're working on Dragon Age.
Anthem and Dragon Age.
Yeah.
but they did pull a lot of talent on the Anthem. Like they really want that big win. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, they pulled. I mean, Mark Dara, who was the
Lead writer, right?
lead writer and something else. He had another role.
Narrative director? Or?
Maybe I can't remember off the top of my head. But they pulled him onto Anthem, and then I believe once Anthem is done, they shift over to Dragon Age, and then they shift onto whatever's.
They have two teams, from my understanding. Dragon Age team.
Yeah, but they pool talent.
Yeah.
as evident by Anthem.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I guess it would, a theoretical KOTOR 3 would require an extension to that deal because there's just, with those 2 projects going on at BioWare, there's no way they could spin up a KOTOR 3 within the limits of the current deal.
KOTOR 3 would be a monster if it was released today, I think.
I don't know. I don't know that
it's
it
good.
would.
If it's
I don't know that it would because
Dude, think about how big like The Witcher 3 was. Like people love open world RPGs.
You're right. Yeah.
Just make that in the Star Wars universe. That's all you have to do.
But
They
there've
figured
been
out the tech with Anthem to do an open world style game.
there have been 2 Witcher games in the span of the last KOTOR game, though. Like I don't. We were just talking this morning about how with a certain demographic, Smash Brothers doesn't even click because it's not ready at the forefront of your mind. You would have a better sell-through rate on a Fortnite open world RPG than you would on a KOTOR at this point.
Well, so now you're just arguing that Star Wars isn't a very
No,
popular
I'm
license
saying
anymore?
the brand Knights of the Old Republic. I don't think
it has Star Wars in the title.
well, that's fair. Yeah, but
How did the Old Republic or Slaughter?
Huh?
The Old Republic, the MMORPG that was released.
Swatter.
Yeah.
I've never. Heard.
Yeah, we had to take a walk back to get to that.
Sorry.
Given
Well, no,
the-
that's
I mean,
technically the third release within that realm. Right?
It came out before the deal.
It was an
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying.
and it was an MMO. Not the same thing. I think it was successful for a time.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are playing it today.
Yeah. It definitely had a wave.
Yeah.
That was on.
I think I played it
for a while.
in the last year. Like I hopped back in and checked it out.
It's BioWare Austin was on that one. All right, we got to move on here quickly. Just want to give yet more praise any chance we get to Forza Horizon 4. Listen to this. This is just whether or not you're a Forza fan, this is just impressive. So Christopher Dring, who is the publisher at gamesindustry.biz, who does a lot of industry reporting that Forza Horizon 4 is outselling Assassin's Creed Odyssey in UK retail. Both out for about the same amount of time, 5 weeks on the charts. Think about that. That is you're talking about a console exclusive versus PS, a game that's on
cross-plat.
2 platforms.
No, it's PC
So-
too.
I know, but this is just
okay,
console releases for both of these.
So Forza is outselling just the Xbox version of
No,
Assassin's
both.
Creed?
Combined.
Okay.
So it is doing.
So that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking.
awesome.
Assassin's is such a huge franchise, and Odyssey is a great game unto itself. Brandon, you reviewed it, but I mean, that's hard to do for any, especially Xbox exclusives catch a lot of flack for, for this, that, or the other thing, not enough of them, or what have
or
you.
lack thereof.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a just a racing game that's outselling an enormous Assassin's Creed release. Granted, this is probably the ideal. It's like peak British.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon.
This is really like all the planets are aligning for
It's
this.
set in Great Britain. It's of course developed by Playground, who's in the UK. But nevertheless, I mean, that's just incredible.
That's bonkers.
That's really great. Every bit of success for Playground and Forza Horizon is well deserved, in my opinion. So
Games are very fun.
good stuff there. Finally, I guess there are 2 quick more things here. Trusted Reviews, a consumer electronics website. This is a strange story. They had to pay a £1 million fine, which came to 1.3 million US, that went to charities after they published confidential information that they had about Red Dead Redemption 2. This was reported by Variety, and Trusted Reviews issued an apology as part of the settlement here. On February 6th, 2018, we published an article that was sourced from a confidential corporate document. We should have known this information was confidential and should not have published it. We unreservedly apologize to Take-Two Games, and we have undertaken not to repeat such actions again. We have also agreed to donate over £1 million to charities chosen by Take-Two Games. So there was just various stuff in the game about the game in there that they had somehow gotten their hands on. I don't know how that happened, but in any case, Take-Two says, quote, Take-Two takes security seriously and will take legal action against people or publications who leak confidential information. Because this situation involved information about Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar has directed the settlement funds to these 3 great charities: the American Indian College Fund, the American Prairie Reserve, and the First Nations Development Institute.
I'm really curious what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, is this
How did they get the info?
right?
And why did they get sued for leaking it? Because if they didn't sign any NDAs or anything, they must have signed something.
Clearly, if they were
And then
in
leaked
breach
it.
of something.
Yeah. So that's don't do that.
I'm sorry. No outlet that calls itself Trusted Reviews should ever be taken seriously by anyone. That's literally like
Honest reviews.
Call Jimmy McGill, a lawyer you can trust. Give me a break.
You think they're done? Are they like this?
No, they're not. They're not done.
Doesn't
hurt,
seem like
right?
it. Doesn't seem like it.
I mean, they're
at least some great charities got money out of it. I mean, that's the one upside
Yeah.
to the whole thing.
But is TI Media based in the United Kingdom?
Seemingly.
Does anyone know?
Because Take-Two's not.
It's not, yeah. Which is funny because they paid £1 million, but then all the money went to American charity funds. So I thought that was kind of clever.
Yeah, but so if you're ever frustrated about things that we don't talk about here for whatever reason, that's why. Because we don't want to get sued when we've signed NDAs for things.
Yeah, there's a big difference between getting a scoop and breaking an NDA, and it's something that is taken really both situations are taken super seriously. Where I don't think people a lot of times realize like meetings are had about, hey, we have information. What's the upside? What's the downside? But I'm never a huge fan of like a news outlet having to pay because they did reporting, but there's a difference between reporting and just breaking a contract.
Yeah. Yeah. No, believe me, we'd be the first people to line up and defend our fellow media outlets. But clearly, I mean, to their credit, Trusted Reviews owned up to it here. They acknowledged the mistake, and now pretty sure they'll never do that again.
I do remember signing NDAs that like explicitly said there was like a monetary fine for breaking it. And I was like, whoa.
It's on there.
This feels very serious, very heavy.
So
I don't have enough context about the story, so like I can't really pass judgment. It just seemed clearly they did something wrong. They were found guilty in court. So don't break NDAs, I'm guessing.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, this was
the best I can guess based on the story,
Yeah. All right. Finally this week, Microsoft is revamping its corporate headquarters in Redmond, Washington.
Oh.
And get this, they are using Minecraft. They've hired a company called Blockworks, fittingly enough, a UK design studio they've built the refurbished corporate campus in Minecraft in order to give Microsoft employees a look at what it's going to look like, which I don't get it. It's like
cool.
We're looking at Minecraft right now if you're watching on video, and but even if you're not watching, you're just listening, you know what Minecraft looks like. So I'm not entirely sure really how good of an idea you can give your employees on what the new campus is going to look like.
It's probably just like, oh, the bathrooms are here, and this is how big the cafeteria is going to be.
So they're just sort of like they remodeled their entire campus in Redmond. Yeah, that's what's happening.
They're remodeling it. Yeah,
and sort of to give them a virtual walkthrough, they built it in Minecraft.
Yes,
and that's easier than doing it in actual software that's created for this sort of thing.
I think in here it says that it gives you a better understanding of the space than a 3D model could, or 3D rendering.
They can just render that in 3D and accomplish the same thing. But
whatever. Yeah,
but
then you need the software to actually get in there and walk through the building and all that. So they're giving them an opportunity to be like, when you show up for work tomorrow, this is, in 2022, this is what it's going to look like when you walk through the door.
Pretty sure 3D modeling software can do that too.
I don't know. I'm not an architect.
But does Microsoft own 3D modeling software? No, they own Minecraft.
Yeah.
So why not just hire Blockworks?
They also could have just walked through and made a video with their phone. Just to show people what it looks like.
I think this is theoretical still, right? They haven't started this.
They didn't already do this?
No, it's there. It's employees can get it. I think you need if you have
No. I mean, they didn't break ground yet on the new campus.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it just says it's scheduled to be finished, as you mentioned, in 2022.
Yeah. So they probably had the plans. They drew them up. They put them in Minecraft, and they're like, "Hey, to give you all an idea of what the campus will look like in 2 years, 2.5 years, you can walk through it."
I think I played Cuphead at their campus a long time ago before PAX one year. We were doing game capture there or something. Their campus is massive.
It's huge.
It's 500 acres.
Massive, yeah.
That's a lot of acres.
It's a lot of acres.
Well, the remodel is scheduled to be finished before EA loses the Star Wars license.
Sweet.
All right. So good stuff there. If you have the educational version of Minecraft, according to our story, you can go look at this for yourself.
That's how we tell time moving forward. It's like, is that pre or post EA's Star Wars license deal?
Yeah.
No?
That's our barometer for everything now.
It's like ADBC, but it starts over again.
Okay, that does it for news this week. A little quiet, but what can you do? There's lots of video games out. Go play them.
Yeah.
Let's go to the loot box. Random segment. Let's see what we got this week.
We need like a sound effect or something on like a soundboard. Loot box.
Not that.
Okay.
For sure not that.
We'll workshop it.
Well, yeah.
And then put it to a vote. Bam.
We've got a random question that comes to us from Ali is the gentleman asking here. With both Sony and Microsoft teasing the release of their next consoles, what do you guys think should be a must-have feature for next gen? Xbox Scarlet. What's just something? Give me something. That you feel like it's gotta have.
That's more of a netcode software backend thing, but man,
It's more of a Sony problem at this point. Than
if
anything else.
if you don't make two boxes that can connect to each other and allow people to play together, I don't know what you're thinking at this day and age. You know how many times like I've wanted to play Destiny 2, but I'm like, I don't want to start a new character on the PS4
PC
or the PC.
Yeah, because we all bailed on you.
Yeah, I'm the only Xbox Destiny player in the galaxy.
Yeah.
But no, like Monster Hunter, I really wanted to play with Casey, but she's on PS4 and I'm on Xbox One X, and I think it's silly if next generation it's not just like an open garden.
I agree with you that you would think. It's just I sit here behind a table spouting dumb opinions, but you'd think that with the scale at which games have grown into and the stakes of the money involved, that the major publishers, the sort of 5 publisher cabal you mentioned earlier in the show, maybe I'm leaving one or two out, but that they could all get together and say, hey, platform holders, and in this case, Microsoft's on board, so it really is. I'm not trying to pick on Sony, but yeah, Nintendo. Thank you. Yes, Nintendo as well, and say, hey, look. We all stand to make a lot more money here and sell a lot more software and keep our players happier and engaged and buying more content if we let everybody play in these worlds together, regardless of what platform they're on. So just try to strong arm Nintendo, Sony into letting that happen.
Sony has loosened up a little bit. Well, not too much. They're saying that they're being more. They're listening actively to what their community wants. Hey, we want that. So
What does that even mean?
I don't know. They gave this, Damon, you probably did the news story. Like they said something like when they finally revealed that they're going to allow Fortnite to play nicely with everybody else, they said going forward, they're going to listen to what their community wants.
That sounds like we're not doing anything, but we want you to think we might.
Yeah, I didn't buy it for a second, but hopefully they smarten up and realize that this is going to hurt more than it helps.
Can we take a second and realize how big of a game Fortnite is if it got Sony to allow crossplay?
That is true.
Oh my God.
Big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what was Sony's reason for it is like they don't want people purchasing in-game stuff on other platforms or something.
It was BS. That's what.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
It's like monetization stuff. That's what it seems. Because like when it first started, I assumed it was a netcode thing. We're like, well, our ones don't match up with their zeros and our X's don't. I don't think that's the case. I mean, clearly it's not. It got turned on accident in Rocket League, right? For a week. So yeah, I that's a little bit of a tangent, but I think that is one feature that is must-have next gen.
Love it.
I got one, and it's sort of it doesn't have to do with the games. The games are going to look great. They're going to look better, and there's going to be new innovations in that space by the developers. Friendlier social media tools for like gameplay clips and gameplay capture on the consoles. That has been a huge wave with the PS4 and Xbox One, the ability to capture that. And I think if they continue to improve upon that, it'd be great.
What's an example of how they're currently unfriendly?
So currently the 1080 capture is really compressed and pixelated. I don't think it needs to be to that extent. Editing your clips is a little cumbersome. I think they could work on the tool sets for editing your clips together and making cool little mini features. Xbox has a pretty robust one with the capture suite actually, but PlayStation's not wonderful.
Is it H.264, like the same as the YouTube?
Yeah, I think their clips are H.264, and you can adjust your settings on the X, which is really cool. You can actually capture up to 4K, but you can see a lot of blocks in the capture. As a capture guy, I recognize like compression stuff. So I think it would be great if that tool set was a little friendlier.
Now, real quick, I'm curious because every night I go home and my Xbox is on and I see Destin is streaming. So you stream every day.
Yeah.
I'm really curious your take on sort of the streaming tools and like how they can get better or
within the console. So there's actually a few things there. Right now, the way I stream is you either output from PC or whatever, and you go into OBS is the tool that I use, and that allows you to broadcast. The tool set on the PlayStation and Xbox is actually pretty impressive if you're willing to take the time to learn how to use those tools. Xbox, of course, it doesn't have like the Kinect functionality anymore. Well, it still does, but they kind of ditched that peripheral. So you would have to figure out another way to broadcast your video signal. But surprisingly, the on-console broadcasting tools are pretty good. Xbox would need a camera. PlayStation has one that you can buy as a peripheral. So, yeah, you can set your bitrate and all sorts of stuff within the tools available to players.
I would just like to go on the record and say I never again want a camera built into my console.
Yeah,
Ever.
yeah. Just sell it as a peripheral.
If it's a peripheral, that's fine. But like, nope.
I wonder if USB cams work on Xbox now, like with the X, because they got those 2 USBs on the back.
Maybe.
I just set up my living room. I just moved, set up my whole living room, got my whole entertainment area set up, and yeah, I'm stoked to start streaming.
First thing you got to set up, right?
Yeah. Internet's getting hooked up tomorrow.
Internet should be the first
fiber. I've never had fiber internet.
Welcome
before.
to the neighborhood,
I'm super
neighbor.
Stoked.
It's really great. And then like 3 months into it, you're like, oh crap, I got to reset my router because I'm only getting a quarter of what I should be.
Yeah.
What do you say, Damon?
What about you two?
I don't know about you guys, but ever since I got my Switch, it's super annoying that I can't take my Xbox and PS4 games on the go with me.
Oh yeah.
There needs to be that's something that needs to be figured out.
You might be able to with the
everything
xCloud.
needs to be portable.
Yeah.
So xCloud could potentially facilitate that.
Yeah. But I also think Xbox has done a great job with Game Pass, and that's something like there's something there that has to be adopted by the other platforms. Like there needs to be just like a Netflix sort of subscription service where these platform holders just open up their back catalogs, open up the vaults, and just you pay to just have access to everything.
Yeah.
But Damon, PlayStation Now is available for $200 a year.
Get out. What I love is for 10 years we've been talking about the Netflix for games.
Yeah.
And I feel like Game Pass is actually it.
Kind of that.
Yeah,
Like
it really is.
It made it, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's
great.
It's growing. You know, there's not every like third-party games in there yet, but it's
Sure, but like not every movie's on Netflix. You know? So like
exactly.
I really do think that like of so many people trying to make that correlation and come out with that product, Game Pass actually did it, you know?
Yeah. Game
Yeah,
Pass
I love the
surprisingly
service.
great.
I love it.
For me, I look back to the Xbox 360 and it standardized, it mandated HD. Everything's got to be 720p, and that really helped raise the bar for that was a shift for everybody. That made gaming better, in my opinion. I don't think there's really any disputing that. So for Scarlett, I'd like to see. I know things still have to scale back if you're on an older, playing still on an X or on an Xbox One. The whole sort of breaking down the walls of generations a little bit, but I'd like to see Scarlett and PS5 have 4K as the minimum baseline. Like everything that runs on it has to be in 4K because they'll have the power.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. So I'd like to see that as just a minimum requirement.
It has to be able to handle be in 4K.
Yeah. That and so any game you put in there can run natively in 4K.
I think native 4K is amazing, but I do wonder if that would hurt indies. Like games coming through the ID at Xbox program.
That's a fair point.
I mean, I'm not an artist. I have no idea like the amount of work required to take one asset and make it larger to support 4K across the entire game. So I don't know what goes into that, but I just wonder if that would limit the scope of certain.
I mean, it didn't. I know, it's at a different time, but that didn't stop Live Arcade from being amazing.
It's
when
true.
There was a 720p requirement. So, yeah. Your point is taken for sure, though. That's
Also, let's bring back some of Arcade and Live Arcade.
Yes.
Like,
welcome to the party.
Yeah,
We've been
please.
saying that on this
So
show
much-
for years.
I mean, no offense to ID at Xbox, but just like Xbox Live Arcade was just a better, like easier to understand service.
A curated, limited time run of hand-picked awesome games.
I'll say this about ID at Xbox. That name's not really catchy.
That's what I'm saying. Xbox
Yeah.
Live Arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're one of us, Damon, for sure.
XBLA.
All right, that'll do it. Thank you to Ali for sending that question. And if you have a just random question or AMA type thing, you want to send it in, we'll do Loot Box, of course, every week. Just email us. unlocked@ign.com is the address. And we'll move on to the other thing that you can email us about now, which is our last segment, Unlock Block Trivia. take a shot, Damon. This chance for you to get on the board here. Which I mean, Destin's barely on the board, and he's been on the show for months.
Yeah.
So you've got a chance to just gain some respectability by answering this trivia question.
I respect you.
He already
We have no respect for
I mean,
you,
within
Damon.
the context of
Here's
the
your
trivia.
chance.
It's a spiritual victory.
Oh my God, what have I done? I just walk out crying.
I can hear it right now at DMC Ryan.
Yeah, I'm getting a gun followed, getting blocked by Damon on Twitter. All right, so Tiago Souza from Brazil is a longtime Unlocked fan. Shout out to him. He asks this. So Phil Spencer, of course, at E3, we got 5 new studios added to the Xbox first-party family. There was a developer that
Coalition?
talked about.
The Coalition, is that what it's called? Or like
They were already around.
What do you
got
mean?
them.
The new one?
The Initiative.
The Initiative.
Initiative.
That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Microsoft Santa Monica.
Yes. So during an IGN Unfiltered interview,
I feel like Ryan wrote this question.
Yeah.
didn't,
First of all,
but I don't.
All right, Tiago
during
Souza.
my show.
Hey, I just read them. I don't write them.
But you do
Someone revealed that a studio almost signed up with Microsoft. Do you guys know
I do know.
who this was? So
I don't.
I know it because I was so eager to watch this IGN Unfiltered interview.
Gearbox, Hazelight, Studio MDHR, Insomniac. Now, all 4 of those studios have been represented by their studio heads on. So there are no red herrings in that department. They've all been on Unfiltered. So
remind me which one Hazelight is.
That is A Way Out.
A Way Out. Okay.
And Studio MDHR is Cuphead, of
Cuphead,
course.
yeah, Insomniac being Spider-Man and Sunset Overdrive, and Gearbox.
And Gearbox. What did
Yes.
They did Borderlands.
they? Oh yeah.
Destiny.
More importantly, they did Battleborn.
I'll say C. I'll go with MDHR.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I had the brothers Chad and Jared Moldenhauer in here.
Those guys are so cool.
They're amazing human beings. I love
They're
them.
really awesome.
Brandon says he knows it. So Damon, I'm going to go your way next.
Man, I guess seems like the most logical choice. MDHR.
MDHR. All right. Brandon, you claim to know it.
So
I know this one.
I did think it was. Well, you did the interview and probably wrote the breakout.
I don't remember everything about my interviews. So
It's fine. So I narrowed it down between MDHR and Hazelight, and then I do remember. God, his name is escaping me. F the Oscars.
Joseph Ferris.
Joseph Ferris saying that they almost signed with Microsoft.
Yes, that is correct. Well done. Thank you, Tiago. Good job, everybody.
We did it. The slump is over.
It is. Yeah, you've.
It's like 4 weeks. I didn't get one right.
Yeah,
This year's a
you're up
wash
2
for me.
points as the year winds down.
Up 2 points. Who's in second?
Not had a
The
good
Ghost
year,
of
Damon. I
Alana.
have 3 points.
3 points out of the whole year?
I think I've done better on the GameScoop trivia show this
not
year.
bad for
and I've been
joining-
on 3 times.
This is like
12 points isn't bad for joining the show in April. I feel like I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing great. I'm doing
Destin. I mean, Destin
an off year,
won
man.
2 trophies in a row in this trivia contest, and this year it's like he won the World Series 2 years in a row, and now can't get a hit.
I passed 35 years of age.
He couldn't
and now
pay
I
up-
just know nothing about gaming. That's what happened.
He couldn't pay all his players, so that's what happens.
What happens? You gotta rebuild the team. All right, yeah. So send us your trivia questions. I'm in need of some new ones to choose from. So you can email an Xbox trivia question, include 4 multiple choice answers, note the correct one in your email, and send that to unlocked@ign.com. Time to hit the road here. I want to thank Damon Hatfield for sitting in.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, where can Unlocked fans follow you if they're not doing so already?
Follow me on Twitter @DameZero. Also check out GameScoop, also another weekly video game talk show on IGN that covers all platforms.
Yes. Love it. I was on there last week. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Brandon Tyrell,
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. It's just my name @Brandon Tyrell.
you working on anything cool we should look at?
I can't talk about it right now.
Fair enough.
Man.
I'm reviewing Hitman 2. That'll be up later this week.
Cool.
So look for that. And you can follow me on Twitter @DMC_Ryan. Destin, take us home.
Yeah, on Twitter @DestinLeGary, and I'm working on some Red Dead features still.
Plenty more to mine in that game,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, there's some cool stuff coming. Mark's working on one you're going to like too. And yeah, I think you're going to like the one I'm wrapping up.
Fantastic. Thanks to John Borba in the control room for producing. This was Unlocked 369. We'll see you back here next week.